Hello, Seiiti Arata. Quantified Self helps you to use technology to collect data about yourself and with that make the best decisions. You have probably tried to achieve some goal that was kind of abstract and ended up having difficulty, right? Perhaps you have said that you wanted to be healthier, have more success in your profession, or even be a more motivated person. And the problem with this type of goal is that it is very vague, imprecise, difficult to measure, and that makes the goal hard to be accomplished. When are you going to know if you are or if you're not healthier? How do you define if you have been successful in your career? What does it mean to be a more motivated person? One of the ways to solve this problem is to use the popular method SMART to make your goals more specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. This is good, but you can go further. If you're having trouble achieving any goal, a technique for advancing that goal is to turn everything into numbers and use mathematics to measure your progress. Numbers can be the path to transforming abstract dreams into concrete reality. You may have heard the tip that to achieve a goal, the best thing is to be more objective. For example, instead of defining that you want to lose weight, you have to define that you want to lose 9 kilos in the next 3 months using a flexible diet and practicing swimming twice a week. However, often defining the final goal in numbers isn't enough. In the same way that you transform your final objective into something measurable, you can go further and transform your whole path until reaching that objective in numbers. Numbers are an excellent tool for you to achieve your goals because you can't distort the numbers, you can't distort math. Saying that you achieved financial success is very subjective. But checking if you have 1 million invested in your bank or if your net worth is evolving 5% per month is simpler. When you transform your objective into numbers, each action that you take to obtain that goal can be measured. Every advance or setback towards the final goal can be observed and analyzed for you to make more of what works and also avoid what doesn't. You can think of math as a tool that transforms a path that once was abstract, subjective, hard to define into something that is right now much more concrete, exact, objective. To transform your goals into numbers, you need the right parameters and limit your options. Almost all goals can be transformed into numbers, but you need to define parameters that you will use to make this conversion of abstract dreams into concrete objectives. Some goals are very obvious. For example, in the case of losing weight, you can define a final number that you want to see on the scale, on the measuring tape, or on the fat percentage meter. In the case of becoming rich, you can define exactly how much you want to have invested to be considered a rich person. Even in the case of professional success, you can transform your goals into something more concrete by defining which salary from which position represents for you that the goal has been achieved. But you have to be careful. It is not because you can transform all your goals into numbers that you should do that. Tracking your progress correctly using math is hard. You need to collect data and analyze the numbers and observe how these numbers are impacting your results. This is using the scientific method that I already talked about in episode 174 from the series Hello, Seiiti Arata, to be your own data scientist. And doing this data analysis with 1 or 2 goals is one thing, but don't exaggerate. Doing this with all your goals from all areas of life can end up being counterproductive. Therefore, make your options limited. Even if you have a lot of goals, choose only 1 or 2 to transform them into numbers and keep up with it rigorously. After you've fulfilled these first goals, then you can do the same with other objectives. Quantified Self only works if you use the right tools. The monitoring must be constant. A few years ago, when wearable devices and smartwatches started to become popular, there was this self-knowledge movement arising based on data which was known as Quantified Self. And the idea of Quantified Self is to use technology to collect data about yourself and with that, to make decisions based on numbers, to improve your body, to improve your mind, improve your productivity. To transform your goals into numbers, you need to have the right tools to collect and analyze data. For example, your goal of being a more physically active person could mean taking a certain amount of steps per day. Now, without a technology that does that counting automatically, it is impractical to count the whole day, every day, each step that you make. Lots of data can be collected by the smartphone in your hand. The amount of tasks that you accomplished throughout the day, how much you spent, how many calories did you gain, how many hours going through social media, how many steps you took. Other types of data would need some specific devices like watches, bracelets, or smart rings. Nevertheless, nowadays the data collection is the easiest part. The most difficult is to analyze the data and to see how it is impacting your goals. Is taking that number of steps every day helping you with your weight loss goal, or is the extra exercise making you more hungry and therefore you eat more calories, so at the end it is making it worse for you to reach your goal? Keep in mind that the idea is not to transform only your final goal into a specific and reachable number. The idea is that each action that you take can be measured. In these cases, what seems obvious is not always so obvious. Therefore, you need to act like your own data scientist to analyze how your actions are impacting your results. Just like a scientist, you need a method. Define a period for you to analyze your data. I suggest that within 1 week, you analyze the results and create improvement cycles based on the PDCA technique, just like I explained in the episode 203 of the series Hello, Seiiti Arata. But you must choose the period that is more suitable for your specific goal. Also, keep in mind that life is more than numbers. Never use exact sciences to measure what is abstract. You see, one of the biggest criticisms that is made to books, videos, and courses about personal development is that everything is so abstract and subjective, sometimes even esoteric. Words like power, motivation, success, energy, and similar words are very common when it comes to personal development. Transforming goals into numbers solves a part of the problem. With concrete objectives and every measurable action, you transform your journey into something much more tangible. But math isn't the solution to all these desires. Not everything in life comes down to numbers. You can't measure in exact numbers the satisfaction of having a recognized job, the happiness of taking a trip to somewhere special, or the satisfaction of drinking coffee with childhood friends. Don't make the mistake of wanting to use math to measure abstract things. Leave the numbers for your goals and actions that can be quantified and explore other ways to confirm the length of a goal in the case of less concrete objectives. The numbers can be excellent allies to transform abstract dreams into concrete objectives. You can transform not only your final goal into something more measurable, but also transform into numbers your whole journey towards that goal. And to do that, you need to have the right tools and periodically analyze the data to find actions that bring the best results for your case. It requires a lot of resilience from your end. And if you want to know how to use resilience to persist in your goals, I recorded a very special class from the course Planning Your Life about how to be more resilient. And you can access that class by accessing arata.se/resilience.